Ah, Hollywood. La La Land, Tinseltown. It's given us films like Wizard of Oz, Star Wars, Forrest Gump, Black Panther, even viral moments like this.
Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
The legendary Los Angeles neighborhood is perfect for making movies. Sunny skies, warm weather, and diverse landscapes allow for filming whatever, whenever. But did you know Hollywood wasn't always Hollywood? In fact, the movie capital of the world was actually here, in Fort Lee, New Jersey. And if it wasn't for Thomas Edison, it might still be here today. Thomas Edison is obviously known for his inventions: the phonograph, the incandescent light bulb, and even the earliest motion picture camera. But what's less known is his savvy business prowess. In his 84 years, Edison had acquired 1,093 patents, singly or jointly, which allowed him to monopolize the industries he helped create. And one of these industries was the movie business. In 1888, Edison began working with William Dickson on an early movie camera. Dickson at the time was a photographer, as well as an experimenter. Together, they produced the first films in what would eventually be part of the Edison Company's extensive catalog. These shorts were filmed in America's first movie studio, the Black Maria, located in West Orange, New Jersey. It was a tar paper shack that was placed on a low rail with wheels, so that they could turn it and follow the sun for light. Using an electrically powered camera capable of capturing motion, the kinetograph did for the eye what the phonograph did for the ear. The shorts filmed there would be shown one at a time on a coin-operated pole viewing cabinet called the kinetoscope.
Film gets into the industry more as a cheap amusement. That's the best way to say it. And that's the way it stays for a long time. It becomes kind of a cheap entertainment. It's not really in fact, there were, for the first decade or so of films from about 1895 to about 1905, movies were just part of another form of entertainment, a carnival, a circus, a vaudeville show. Nobody went to see a movie as an exercise and entertainment. That was just sort of a thing that got thrown in there. For Edison, that's where it goes. It goes into this trajectory of it being a cheap entertainment.
By 1908, there were already a number of different motion picture companies that were now creating films to be shown in small theaters.
In the Nickelodeon era, what happens is that there is an insatiable demand. The Nickelodeons were the theaters devoted to seeing only movies. These Nickelodeon theater owners become just basically desperate for more product. And one thing that Edison hated more than anything else was competition. He eventually starts to develop what we would call today a cartel. It is a bunch of competitors he gets together, and they all agree to share profits and keep other people out of the market. And if anybody comes into the market, they will litigate and sue them out of existence. And how they do that is with the patents that Edison controls.
Edison devised a licensing arrangement that threatened other independent filmmakers with litigation if they infringed on his patents, and only allowed for licenses to be granted to those who paid a fee. Motion picture companies like Lubin, Selig, Vitagraph, and SNA found themselves in court over Edison's claims. Frustrated, they decided to join Edison for fear of further legal issues and competition from European productions. This new group of filmmakers was called the Association of Edison Licensees. It was established on March 1st, 1908. However, the large motion picture company, Biograph, refused to join, and instead formed their own opposition group licenses. But even they couldn't compete. In late December 1908, after months of negotiation, Edison and Biograph joined groups and formed the Motion Picture Patents Company. Instead of suing companies for patent infringement, Edison and his Motion Picture Patents Company planned to take over the film industry by owning all aspects of film production. And arguably the most important piece of equipment in early film production was the film itself. So Edison and his Motion Picture Patents Company joined forces with the Eastman Kodak Company.
So if there was no film stock for you to buy, you can't make a movie because there is no raw material. And at first this works. And basically the theater owners are desperate. What do we show? They're starving us because there's only now 8 companies producing. And so what they do is a couple things. One is they start producing their own films. And 2, they start importing films from other countries.
Around this time, independent filmmakers were becoming increasingly frustrated with Edison's overbearing reach. So these filmmakers looked to pack up shop and move the industry altogether, their destination, LA. The distance gave independent filmmakers much-needed separation from Edison's reach, but also, the weather was perfect for filming, and the land was much cheaper than in the dense New York City suburbs.
Why the industry went to Hollywood or to Southern California, especially around Los Angeles, one is there was a rail line that was reasonably established, but two is because within about an hour away of downtown Los Angeles and what becomes later Hollywood, is a few miles north, is that there is a lot of different terrain. You have sea, you have mountains, you have desert, you have cities. You have all these locations available to you, and they're relatively unspoiled, and you can just go up there and shoot. You can do all kinds of films.
But filmmakers heading west was just the first blow to the MPPC. In 1911, Kodak decided to modify its contract and sell its film stock to unlicensed independents, therefore breaking the previously exclusive deal with Edison. And at the same time, new independent filmmakers were ever increasing as the movie craze was conquering the country. That gave the MPPC a lot of work. The cost and the slow process of investigating patent infringements was weighing down Edison's company. But the final nail in the coffin came in 1915, when the US government sued the Motion Picture Patents Company for monopolistic practices. Meanwhile, Hollywood was booming. By 1924, the Wall Street Journal reported that movies had become the nation's 7th largest industry, employing 15,000 people in Hollywood. It was clear this would be the home of the film industry for decades to come. So, if the MPPC had never existed, would Hollywood have remained in New Jersey?
And that's one of those things that's almost impossible to answer, because of course the very fact that California existed as part of the country, that there was this whole promotion of real estate, and it wasn't just the city, the railroad was doing that too, so that there were all these incentives for the growth of LA and for seeing the film industry as something that could flourish there. If California were still, part of Mexico at that point, it's very likely that Fort Lee might have continued. So one could imagine that Fort Lee would have continued to be a production center because it was near New York, but there would have been some other centers as well. I think that's probably what would have happened if I had to kind of speculate about it.
It's impossible to say how the movie industry would look today if it were still based in New Jersey. What we do know is that Hollywood, California has become one of the most recognizable neighborhoods in the US, shaping not just the movie industry, but the way in which the world consumes entertainment. And for that, we can thank Thomas Edison. Thanks for watching. What do you think of the future of the movie theater? Comment below. If you like this video, make sure to check out our channel and subscribe.